Okay, you should start out by correcting your homework. The first page from 3.8. On your own right now, go through, correct the answers. Should hit pause until all students are finished correcting. Then go ahead, once you've restarted, correct the homework for section 3.9. Once you are finished, 23 total points, put your score, your accuracy score, and your completion score on the top of your paper and hand them in. The goals for today, we're going to rotate figures using a protractor. We're going to determine the magnitude of a rotation, and we're going to apply angle and arc measures and rotations in real life. We will also construct a perpendicular line and bisector using only a compass and straight edge. Section 3.2, rotations. A rotation is a turn. Anytime you turn something, you have a rotation. In math, to determine which way we're going to go, if you ever have a positive rotation, you're going to go counterclockwise. Highlighted in red down here, if I'm starting here, anytime I go counterclockwise, that's a positive rotation. If I go clockwise, I would have a negative turn. For example, if you were rotating negative 40 degrees, you'd go the direction of the blue arc. A positive 40 degrees, you'd go in the direction of the red arc. The degree measure of the turn then is what is called the magnitude. So how many degrees you rotate it, that is your magnitude. We're going to rotate point K 58 degrees using A as the center, labeled the image K primed. What we're going to start out by doing is getting our compass. We're going to take our compass, place 1 point over point A, move it so that my pencil then is on point K. So with your compass, the pointed edge should be on point A. On point K will then be the pencil part. I'm then going to make an entire circle of that. Any point that I would then pick now on the circle will be the exact same distance because A is my center, therefore AK is the radius of my circle. I'm going to use my protractor now to measure it. Now when I measure my angle, because I want to rotate it 58 degrees, I'm going to place the center where the hole is on top of point A. I'm going to turn my protractor so that the edge where 0 and 180 is goes through point K. Now I have my protractor to the correct size where it just comes out, and I'm going to find 58 degrees. Now notice it's a positive 58 degrees, therefore we'll be going counterclockwise. Find 58 degrees just below 60 at 58. I'm then going to make a dot. I need to shrink my protractor down a little. On the circle at 58 degrees. That now is my point K. We call it K prime. The reason we call it K prime is it is then going to be point K transformed. In this case, it is rotated a total of 58 degrees. The other option you can do here is you can measure your angle first and then draw a dotted line that goes through K, and then use your compass second to find where the point would intersect. If you look at it, you should notice that my new point, K primed, if I measured it, if I measure K from point A, I have it's about 3.8 centimeters. Because K prime's a radius, if you measure 2, you will notice it's 3.8. You can actually do a rotation without using the compass, and it is usually easier because the compass is hard sometimes to get to work correctly. I'm now going to take line HJ, and I'm going to rotate it a negative 130 degrees. Negative 130 degrees tells me I'm going to rotate it clockwise, 138 degrees. First thing I want to do is take my protractor. Place the center of the hole right on top of A. Right where the hole is there, you see it, the center. I'm going to turn my protractor now so that when the 0 goes through the center of point H, I'm going to find 130 degrees. Right here's 130. Make a dot there. Once you did that, you can then draw a line. I'm going to draw myself a dotted line, a light fainted dotted line that's going to connect A to where 130 degrees is. What I know is when I rotate point H 130 degrees, it is going to be somewhere on that green dotted line that I have drawn there. I'm going to move my protractor away here. Made a mistake with the green line. I'm going to measure how far away point H is. And if you measured, I have adjusted the ruler to fit yours, should be approximately 2.3 centimeters away. Now what I'm going to do is turn my ruler and find the point on the green dotted line that I just drew that is 2.3 centimeters away. When I do that, I'm going to make a dot there. That is my rotated point, H primed. Do the same thing, but now I'm going to do it with point H. Protractor again over top of A. Turn my protractor so that 0, 180 goes through J. Going to find 130 degrees. When I get there, make a line. You should then, by paper, take your protractor, draw a line. I'm going to make another dotted line here. Green dotted line. I know that J now has to be somewhere on that line. What I need to determine next is how far it is going to be away from that. Take my ruler. I'm going to measure how far J is away. From my measurement, I get it's 4.3 centimeters away. I'm going to rotate my ruler now and find the point on the second green dot that I just drew. That's 4.3 centimeters away. At that point, I'm going to make a dot there. Slide my ruler away here and make a bigger dot. That is my point J primed. Now to construct segment H prime, J prime, what I need to do then is connect the 2 points, There is my segment. You can see it, the big red line there. It is H prime, J primed. Next example we're going to do here is we're going to rotate triangle PQR negative 90 degrees about point M. Now, this is not in your notes. What you need to do is pull out the worksheet you received at the start of class, Master 32B, which is your assignment for next time. And this is problem number 1 on that. Okay? Start out, I'm going to get out my protractor. I'm going to start with point P. Now, negative 90 degrees tells me I'm going to rotate it clockwise. So at 90 degrees, make a little mark there. Now I'm going to draw myself a dotted line that goes from M to 90. Somewhere on that dotted line is where point P is going to fall. What I next need to determine is how far away, or how far away from M it's going to be. If I measure the distance from P to M, notice I'm using all my measurements in centimeters. I have 1.7 centimeters. So my new point P, P primed, has to be 1.7 centimeters away from M. I'm going to find 1.7, make a red dot there, slide my ruler away here, make it a little bigger. That's my point P primed. Now I'll continue to point Q. "90 degrees. Make another green dotted line that goes from M to 90. You should make a mark on yours and then connect the mark you made at 90 to M. I know that my new point Q has to be on that line. What I now need to determine, so I move my protractor away, is how far away. So I'm going to place my protractor, or my ruler, on M. Measure Q, I've got 3.1 centimeters. Therefore, my point is going to be 3.1 centimeters away. Make a dot there. Make it here a little bigger so you can see it. That's my point Q primed. And my last point, putting my protractor again back the hole on point M. I'm going to turn it so 0 goes through R. 90 degrees. Right there's 90. Make a mark. You should then connect that dot to M. I'm going to make a line then that goes from M all the way up there. So point R will now be rotated on that. Now what I need to do is determine how far away R is. If I measure R, I've got 4.1 centimeters away. So I'm going to rotate my ruler to measure, find 4.1 centimeters on the green line I just drew. Make a dot there. Make it a little bigger here. That is my point R primed. Once I've done that, what I need to do is connect the dots to form a triangle P primed, Q primed, R primed. Should look exactly like that. There's another image of it. Now we're going to draw the image of MNOP after it's been rotated 270 degrees about O. Because I'm rotating it about point O, point O is not even going to change. Point O is going to stay exactly in the same spot as where it is. Okay? I'm going to then go on to point N. I'm going to do point N first. Get my protractor, place it, turn my protractor. Okay, 0, 180 goes through it. Now, 270 degrees means I'm going to go what? Counterclockwise. Here's the problem. There's no 270 degrees on your protractor. Well, notice if you went an entire circle, you'd go 360 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 90 degrees the opposite direction, which means I'm going to rotate my image a negative 90 degrees. As you can see, my protractor is already set up to go in a negative direction. So at negative 90, place a mark. Okay. Draw myself a dotted line to connect it. What I have to do then is measure and find out how far point N is away from point O. Measure it out, I get it's 3.6 centimeters. So therefore my rotated point N will be 3.6 centimeters away. Make a little dot there. N primed. Point M. Turn my protractor now, so 0 goes through M, 90 degrees. Negative 90 means I'm going 90 clockwise. Make a dot there. Draw a line. I know point M will have to be somewhere on the green line that I just constructed. What I need to do is determine how far away it's going to be. So I'm going to measure how far M is away from point O. I have 3.6 centimeters. So I'm going to find the point that's 3.6 centimeters. Make a little dot there. Slide my ruler away, make it a little bigger. There is my point M primed. Last point I need to do is point P. Again, put my protractor again on the center of the hole on point O. Turn my protractor so that 0, 180 goes through P. 90 degrees. Make a mark. Draw myself another green line. I know that point P has to be somewhere on that green line. How far away? I'm going to take my ruler and measure how far point P is away. Measure, I have 2.3 centimeters away. Turn my ruler, I'm going to find the point that's 2.3 centimeters away. There it is. Make it a little bigger here. There's my point P primed. After I've done all the dots, I will go back and connect them. Connect them here with blue lines, so you should take a straight edge. Draw a straight line that connects O to N, N to M, M to O, and P prime back to O. So I have my new rotated quadrilateral, O, N primed, M primed, P primed. Another image you see there should look similar to what you have constructed. This next point is not in your notes. It is not on your worksheet, so just pay attention for right now. I'm going to start by graphing point D, which is found at 3, negative 4. Start at the origin, going to go right 3, down 4. There's my point D. I want to rotate 90 degrees. Take out my protractor again. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees about the origin, so about the point 0, 0. Now 90 degrees positive means I'm going to go counterclockwise. So place 0. Right there's 90. Draw myself a line. I now know that D primed has to be somewhere on the green line. What I need to do is determine how far away it is. I'm going to measure how far it is away. When I measure, I have about 1.7 centimeters. So therefore, I'm going to find the point on my green line that's 1.7 centimeters away. Right there. If you look at it, you will notice that it is about, and actually has the coordinates of the point 4, 3. So D prime has the coordinates of 4, 3, which were just the numbers flip-flopped, and I took the 4 and made it positive. Do not worry about memorizing the shortcut. If you see problems like this, just go ahead and construct them like we have. Rotate triangle ABC 180 degrees. A is found at -1, 3. So I'm going to start by graphing my triangle ABC. A. B is at -4, -1. And C is at -2, 5. On doing that, going to connect it. I'm going to make the triangle here red so it sticks out a little bit for you to see. I can get my protractor out, but notice if it's 180 degrees, what do we know is 180 degrees? A straight line. So therefore, I'm going to place 0, the edge of my ruler, and find out how far away A is from the origin. Notice that it's 1 centimeter away. Well, if I'm going to rotate 180 degrees, I'm just going to continue another centimeter along that line. So I'm going to go from 1 down to 2. There's my point A primed. I'm going to measure point B. Point B is 1.3, 1.4 centimeters away from the origin. I'm going to continue down my ruler another 1.3, so I'm actually going to double 1.3 and get 2.6. I'm going to find where 2.6 centimeters happens to be, and that is where I will construct my point B. Well, about 2.3, 2.4, so we're going to be between 2.6, 2.8. So I did about 2.7. There's my point B primed. I'm going to measure C. I have 1.7 centimeters away. If I double 1.7, I get 3.4. So I'm going to find the point that's 3.4 centimeters on my ruler. Go down here. It's approximately right there. I'm just graphing it next to the nearest point because they all work out to be that way. Connect my points. There's my triangle. Let me relabel it. I need to move my ruler here. A primed, B primed, C primed. That's what it should look like, drawn a little bit constructed with a computer. Whenever you do any construction with the computer, there is always error whenever you do them by hand. So sometimes you may see those things. From section 3.9, there's some constructions we have not talked about. Okay, we're going to construct a perpendicular bisector and a segment bisector. On your notes, you see the exact same sheets here. We're going to start with point A and point B. Okay? You already have them drawn on your paper. I'm going to construct a segment, AB. That is step number 2. So I'm going to draw a line from A to B, blue line here. Made circles there, so my point A is now the blue circle at the end of the line. Point B is the blue circle at the end of that line. Step 3 says construct circle. It says A, comma, AB. What that means is I'm going to construct a circle. A, which is my first point, is where my center is going to be. AB is going to be the radius. You're going to take out your compass at this time. You may need to pause so that everybody can get a compass. At this point, everybody should have a compass in their hand. I'm going to take point A. I'm going to put the sharp edge on top of point A. I want to take the pencil part and place it in point B. Okay, I'm going to move it out. I got to adjust my compass a little. Should see right now the sharp point is on point A. The pencil for my compass is on point B. I'm now going to make a circle. I'm going to take my compass, hold it very carefully on point A. I know it's difficult, but you need to do it. I'm going to draw a circle all the way around here. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do then is construct a circle with the center at B, a second circle, and the radius at AB. You should not have to change your compass at this point because the distance should be the same. Going to make a second circle. I'm going to take my second circle. I'm going to change the color here so that now let's make it purple here. So my two circles are different. What you notice, I had to pause for a moment. What I had to do because the two circles intersected at 2 points. You could see the point below, but you couldn't see it on mine. You should not have a problem on your paper. You should still see the 2 points of intersection. Okay, shouldn't be a problem on your notes. I have 2 points for the two circles intersected. That's the union of the two circles. Or no, check that. That is the intersection of the two circles. The intersection is the point where they both meet. I'm going to label those 2 points. Point C and D. Does not matter which one is which. I'm going to do C below and D above. What I'm then going to do is construct a line, CD. Take your straight edge, connect the line between them. There's my line. Make it a little thinner. Sorry, I made some lines. Shouldn't be there. I'm going to label the point of intersection where the blue line and the red line that I just constructed, point E. CD, the line we just drew, it's the perpendicular bisector of segment AB. Therefore, all points that you have drawn on line CD, which is the red line we just drew in, are going to be equidistant from point A. That means if you measure the distance from any point on the green line to A and to point B, it will be the exact same distance away. Hence, point E is also the midpoint of that segment. Therefore, we've also constructed the midpoint of AB in point E. If I measured to show this, okay? Now I have not adjusted my ruler to have the same measurement as you. Let's make this a little bit bigger here. I have from A to B, it's approximately 4.4 centimeters, 4.3. Notice my segment I drew is at 2.1, pretty close to being the midpoint. Okay, it's the same distance away. Now, based on your calculations, as you do your circles, if you can't draw them perfectly, you may be off just a bit from there. But it should be fairly close to being the midpoint, even if you do it by hand. Next activity. We're going to construct the perpendicular to line AB that is going to go through point C. So to do this, the first thing I need to do is construct a segment AB. I'm going to draw a line here, label my 2 points A and B. I then want to make a point C. I'm going to make mine a little bit above. So you should draw an image on your paper exactly like you see on the board. Segment AB with a point C. I'm going to again get out my compass. I'm going to draw a circle that has a center at C and is going to have a radius of A. Take my compass, place it exactly on top, the pointy. The point, sharp point, I'm going to move it so that my pencil then goes on point A. Once I've done that, I'm going to trace it and draw the circle. In this particular case, you will notice my circle also intersects line AB at a different point. I'm going to label that point, point D. If yours circle did not intersect point D, you will need to construct a second circle that has C as your center and CB as the radius so that you would have a second circle to get a point. Mine worked out just fine for that. Now, to construct the perpendicular bisector of AD, I'm going to construct the circle. Center of A has a radius of AD. I will place my point on A. Pencil, I want my pencil to go through D. Once I get that, I'm going to draw a circle. Now I just drew a circle, has a center of A, a radius of AD. I'm going to do the same thing. But D now is going to be my center, and I'm going to have a radius for A. Change my circle here to be red, so I'm going to draw a circle, center D, radius of AD. The two circles, the black circle and the red circle that I've just constructed, now intersect at 2 points. I will label this 2 points E and F. I'm going to do the one below as E, the one above as F. You'll actually notice in this particular case, point C and F appear to be the same point. That will not always be the case. Okay, on your paper it may not, and if it does not happen to be the same point, that's fine. But if I drew a line, okay, I'm going to go ahead now, draw a line that's going to go from E through point F. Somewhere on the line that I just constructed, the green dotted line, the one that you construct, should be point F. Okay, so the line EF will also contain point C, and we drew the perpendicular bisector of segment AD. Now, on your own, you need to construct the constructions on the last page of your notes. Okay, you need to construct the perpendicular bisector of LM and a line perpendicular to FR that goes through point H, just as you did now. Once you get finished with them, you can show them to the substitute teacher, and then you may proceed to go on and start working on your homework. We can pause the video at this point, and when everybody is completed, you can play to check the answers to the 2 remaining problems. Upon completion, the red line that you see now on the board is the perpendicular bisector of segment LM. I constructed a line perpendicular to segment FR that goes through point H, is the red line that you see now on your board. Your assignment for next class period is to finish worksheet Master 3.5b.